Hi, I'm Annie from Hoop Sisters, and I'm going to show you how to cut a bias binding or a bias flange. Sometimes we have a little bias piping that is in some of our quilts just for a little texture, so I'm going to show you how to cut that. Okay, so here's the fabric that we'll use to cut our bias strips. And I have the raw edge of mine lined up with one of the lines on the grid on my mat. And I have the selvage edge also lined up with the line here at the bottom. And the couple different ways you can do it, you can use your quilting ruler and find your 45-degree line on your quilting ruler, or you can use your trimmer by George, which also has a 45-degree line on here. And so our trimmer by George has the metal side. The metal side will be up, so we'll be using the acrylic ruler side of our trimmer by George. And what you're gonna do is you are gonna find that 45-degree line. There's a 45 and a 60. We're gonna cut on the 45-degree line to get the bias. And I'm gonna take that 45-degree line and I'm gonna line it up with the mark on my cutting mat. And there it is lined up. And I'm also going to see if you want to cut in a little bit deeper. You can do that to get a longer strip. Of course, we're limited here on the length of our trimmer by George ruler. So if you need a longer strip to begin with, you can then use your quilting ruler. But for what we're going to use this for instance, a Navigator or Jacobean Journey of the Hoop Sisters quilts that have a flange, just as a decorative kind of piece inside of our quilts, you really don't need to go any further than that. So with my fabric lined up on a grid here and the selvage end lined up here, my 45-degree mark is lined up with the horizontal grid going this direction. So with that lined up, I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and I'm just going to cut a little piece off here. So this right here is our bias edge, and this here is our straight of grain, and that's how you get a bias edge. And then your instructions will tell you to cut, say a 1.5 inches. We're gonna go with 1.5 inches. So there is a sashing mark that's here on your trimmer by George ruler. As you can see, as you get deeper into the fabric, your trimmer by George may not be long enough. So that's when you can switch over and find the 45-degree mark on your quilting ruler, which is right there. There's actually two of them here. We're going to use the one that goes in this direction so that we can continually use it on this horizontal line on your mat. So I'll find my 1.5 inch. I will line my 45-degree line up with the grid on the mat and my 1.5 inches on the edge of the fabric there. And then I'll just go ahead and cut that. So there you have a bias strip that's 45 degrees. And what you're going to do then is some of the instructions you may have, they may ask you, this may be long enough for the block that you need to use it in. If you need a longer piece, you would just take these and put them right sides together, just like this, and then you would sew a seam right there. And then you'd be able to have a much longer piece and you can continue joining it that way. So again, just simply how to cut another, I'll cut another strip for you. You're gonna put your 45-degree line on the horizontal grid on your cutting mat, and whatever width of bias that you need, you're gonna put it then on this line. Here I have 1.5, and I have the 45-degree line matched with the cutting mat, and you're just simply gonna cut it. And there you go. So now I have several different bias strips that I can use in my quilt.